All right, let's dive right into this explainer because we are about to completely shatter your paradigm. We're bridging two wildly different worlds today, quantum physics and the law. We'll be unpacking a fascinating paper by Dragan Milovanovic that asks a truly mind-bending question about the fundamental nature of crime, identity, and the justice system as we know it. Now, I know what you're probably thinking right off the bat. You're wondering, what on earth do the bizarre, microscopic laws governing subatomic particles have to do with a crime, or a police encounter, or a courtroom? Well, stick with me because by the end of this, I promise you'll never look at the justice system the same way again. We're going to explore how applying quantum theory to human behavior could just entirely rewrite our understanding of criminal justice. And really, the core of the problem comes down to this. Our current justice system, and honestly most of our social sciences, are totally stuck in this rigid, Newtonian, clockwork universe. You know the one. This classical view assumes that time, space, and human identities are perfectly static. It's a world of strict, predictable cause and effect. But the new sciences, they tell us reality is actually an incredibly fluid, probabilistic quantum space. It's more like a cloud of possibilities. And criminology has been one of the last holdouts to stubbornly resist this incredible shift in thinking. So let's jump into section 1, the physics of crime. Okay, to really grasp this paradigm shift, we've got to talk about the infamous double-slit experiment. It's a classic. When light is fired through two tiny slits, it acts like a wave, creating this beautiful pattern of overlapping possibilities. But, and here's the crazy part, the exact moment you introduce a measuring device to observe which slit the light goes through, that wave pattern just vanishes. The mere act of observation physically forces it to collapse into a single static particle. So literally, the act of measuring creates the reality. Now, this highly unpredictable reality, it drove Albert Einstein absolutely crazy. He famously rejected the whole thing, declaring, God does not play dice, because, he desperately wanted a predictable universe. But Niels Bohr, one of the founding fathers of quantum mechanics, famously clapped back with, don't tell God what to do. Bohr argued that it's the specific context of an observation that ultimately determines reality. So, the crucial takeaway here is that before an observation actually happens, everything just exists in what physicists call superposition. Imagine a state where multiple, totally different realities exist all at once. It's not that a particle is hiding in one place and we just don't know where it is. It physically exists as a cloud of possibilities, right up until it's forced into a fixed state. And this concept of superposition, it is about to completely revolutionize how we view human identity. Moving right along to section 2, the quantum criminal. There's this absolutely fascinating term coined by physicist Karen Barad, interaction. Notice it's not interaction. In classical science, interaction assumes two fully formed fixed people meet up and affect each other. But interaction means a person actually doesn't have a fixed identity beforehand. Space, time, and identity, they do not pre-exist their encounters. The encounter itself creates the identity, just like in the double-slit experiment where the measurement creates the particle. Now, think about how the legal system actually treats people today. Our current Newtonian-based justice system assumes a person simply marches straight down this linear, totally static timeline. You act, you're observed, and you move steadily from free citizen to suspect to defendant to felon. The system assumes you are exactly the same static entity at every single step, just carrying around a fixed set of properties. But the quantum perspective, it throws all of that out the window. It suggests human agency is actually a wave function. All of your potential identities exist at once in a cloud of superposition. When someone steps into the justice system, an encounter, say with a police officer or a judge, perturbs this matrix. You aren't a fixed person entering a static system. Rather, you and the system are co-creating reality on the spot. Picture a judge's gavel slamming down, right? The judge shouts, guilty. Well, from a quantum view, that's not just a legal ruling. That is the exact, literal moment a human superposition collapses into a static, materialized reality. Out of all the infinite possible identities and capabilities that person possessed, the legal apparatus forces a collapse into one single, highly reduced form, a felon. It's kind of like a holographic projector. If you take the lens out of a slide projector, you just get a big, blurry wash of scattered light. But if you hold up a pair of eyeglasses in that light cone, boom, the image reappears right where the lens is.
Information about a crime or a person's identity isn't just stored in one locked box in the brain. It exists as this scattered field of possibilities, just waiting for the right lens, like a police interrogation or a courtroom encounter, to decode and materialize it.
All right, let's hit Section 3, probability in the courtroom. When trial lawyers are standing there trying to sway a jury, they're relying heavily on classical probability. They assume a juror already has a well-defined pre-existing belief that's just waiting to be uncovered, like finding a ball hidden inside a box. But quantum probability tells us a juror's mind is actually in a state of superposition. They genuinely don't have a fixed preference until the exact moment they are forced to make a judgment.
Have you ever wondered why lawyers will fight tooth and nail over the exact order of the questions they ask? Classical probability really can't explain why that matters so much, but quantum probability totally does. Asking a juror a question doesn't just pull up a hidden belief. The question acts as a measurement that creates the belief right then and there. That first question sets the context, which entirely alters how the juror's wave function is going to collapse for the second question. It's wild. Which brings us to Section 4, towards transformative justice.
When you stack up the different models of justice, the contrast is painfully clear. Traditional criminal justice, built on that old Newtonian physics, traps people in these highly reduced static identities. It is inherently repressive. Transformative justice, on the other hand, leans into our quantum reality. It acknowledges our fluidity, and instead of just punishing static identities, it actively seeks to expand human capabilities by creating new, positive ones.
So, Milovanovic makes the case that we absolutely have to stop forcing human beings into these highly reduced states. Instead, what if society focused on facilitating good encounters? By doing that, instead of relying on punitive ones, we could actively help collapse the person's wave function into a highly capable, productive reality. If the justice system changes its apparatus, it literally changes the reality it produces.
This whole paradigm shift isn't just some dry, theoretical, academic exercise. No, it's an urgent, profound demand to embrace a much more fluid, interconnected future. It's answering the call by philosophers like Jacques Derrida and physicist Karen Barad for a justice to come, a system that actually honors the incredible complexity of the human condition, rather than trying to force it into the gears of a mechanical clockwork.
So I'm going to leave you to ponder this one final thought. If every single person is a wave function, and their environment and their encounters dictate how they materialize in the real world, aren't we all responsible for the reality we co-create? Realizing that we are all just clouds of possibilities waiting for the right encounter changes absolutely everything about how we should administer justice. Thanks for exploring this explainer with me, and keep questioning the reality around you.